record temperatures and unprecedented wildfires, devastating storms, flooding so severe and unexpected that New York is brought to a standstill. Extreme weather seems to be sweeping the world. Some climate activists claim it's proof our way of life is about to end. Others deny there's anything unusual happening. So what is going on? Stick with us as we find out what's causing so much extreme weather, and will it get worse? Here on ElderFox. Over the last year or two, news reports have been full of shocking images. Unprecedented snow in Texas, droughts in Kenya that have put 2 million lives at risk of starvation, massive flooding from India to Germany, and crippling dust storms in China. Across Europe, from Helsinki to Siberia to Italy, temperature records have been smashed. Wildfires have raged out of control from California and Oregon to Greece. A record number of hurricanes and cyclones have caused destruction from the United States to Indonesia. Perhaps most shocking of all, the incredible heat dome across North America that saw temperatures in Canada and the northern United States soar past 50 degrees Celsius, something that scientists dubbed impossible. Is it all just coincidence? Does it just seem like the weather is becoming more extreme? And surely so many different types of extreme weather events can't all have the same cause. But unbelievably, most scientists now agree the weather is becoming more violent and destructive, and most of these events could be explained by one factor. A seemingly tiny rise in average global temperatures could be the cause of much of the mayhem. But why? And how? As this animation based on the actual data shows, there's no doubt that the Earth has been warming over the past 150 years or so. Cooler than average temperatures are shown in blue, warmer than average in red. So the change since 1880, and especially since the 1990s, is frighteningly clear. Over this period, the average global rise in land and sea temperatures is around 1 degree Celsius. That may sound like nothing, but over such a short period of time, it's enough to have a big impact on the entire planet, including our weather. But how could rising temperatures explain all the extreme weather events that have been taking place? It's easy to understand that heat could lead to more droughts or wildfires, but how could it explain the worst snowfall in Madrid in the last 50 years? Or the unprecedented winter storms in Texas that killed over 200 people in 2021? And why would a simple rise in temperature make hurricanes and cyclones more devastating? It may seem impossible, but Earth's weather is an incredibly complex balancing act of pressure, temperature, and moisture differences around the globe. A small change in one part of the world can have a major impact on the other side of the planet. At its simplest, rising temperatures, especially rising sea temperatures, can make many weather events more dynamic and powerful. Because more heat in the system means more energy available, so a higher chance of more extreme and damaging weather. That alone could explain why 2020 was a record year for hurricanes and why they seem to be intensifying more quickly too. The moisture from warmer seas provides more fuel to create more storms of greater power. But our weather is also regulated by air and sea currents, such as the jet stream, a current of strong winds high in the atmosphere. It both develops and moves areas of low pressure around the globe. Along with similar currents, it keeps the weather working. Now, though, it seems rising temperatures might be having an effect on that delicate global circulation. There is new evidence that circulation may be changing and slowing down. Normal weather patterns are becoming disrupted, with a rise in so-called blocking events. Increasingly, storms and other weather events are becoming stuck in one place, making the effects more prolonged and destructive. It happened when Hurricane Harvey stalled over southeast Texas in 2017, leading to an incredible 60 inches of rain, something that one scientist described as biblical. Using existing climate models, an event of that magnitude should only happen once every 9,000 years. But MIT researchers calculate it's now 6 times more likely to occur than it was even 20 years ago. A similar blocking pattern also contributed to the heat dome that killed at least 500 people across Canada and the northern United States. Due to changes in the jet stream, an area of high pressure became stuck. The warm air under it couldn't escape, so it just became hotter and hotter. The result was a heat wave beyond anything ever experienced in the region, smashing temperature records and leading to hundreds of deaths. But in just the same way, blocking events can cause extreme cold. Winter storms can also slow and stall. And changes in air currents can create freezing conditions in areas that would normally be more temperate, as has happened recently from Texas to southern Europe. It seems illogical, but by disrupting normal weather patterns, warmer average global temperatures really could lead to more extreme cold weather too, even in areas where it's least expected. And the really bad news is, at present, the rise in global temperatures seems to be accelerating. 18 of the 19 warmest years since records began have occurred since 2001. The rise in average temperatures since pre-industrial times is now widely expected to hit 1.5 degrees Celsius within a few years. And the increase in extreme weather could be helping to drive that acceleration. Right now, warming isn't spread equally over the globe, with Arctic areas particularly affected. In 2020, as temperature records were broken in many northern areas, ice levels in the Arctic reached a near-record minimum. This released thousands of tons of water into the oceans. Alongside that, glaciers in many northern regions, such as Greenland, are melting fast too, leading to rising sea levels and more extreme flooding in coastal areas. Warmer sea temperatures globally also mean the ice is less likely to reform in winter. A study by the European Space Agency's Climate Office suggests the Arctic seas could be largely ice-free by 2050, with potentially serious implications for the climate. At the same time, thousands of square miles of frozen tundra across Siberia were thawing and even burning. This releases carbon dioxide that has been locked away for thousands of years back into the atmosphere, which can then lead to more warming, more melting, and so the cycle continues to accelerate. There are similar things happening worldwide. California and Australia both saw record wildfires in 2020. The smoke from those fires can cause further warming of the atmosphere and air pollution that can spread for thousands of miles, which again means more heating, more drought, more wildfires. It becomes a vicious cycle, and scientists fear we'll soon hit a tipping point, after which it may be impossible to stop temperatures from rising by as much as 4 or 5 degrees Celsius. But why are temperatures rising? Could it just be a natural phenomenon? We know that all through its history, Earth has gone through periods of warming and cooling. Average global temperatures have been warmer in the past than they are now. It's also well established that natural climate patterns, such as those nicknamed El Niño and La Niña, can affect weather right around the world. Changes in solar activity also affect our climate. But all of those factors could only account for a small amount of the changes we're seeing. What is happening now doesn't seem to follow any of the natural patterns that the planet has experienced in the past. Instead, the vast majority of scientists put the current warming down to one thing: human activity. To quote a joint statement from 18 different scientific bodies, based on the extensive scientific evidence, it is extremely likely that human activities, especially emissions of greenhouse gases, are the dominant cause of the observed warming since the mid-20th century. There is no alternative explanation supported by convincing evidence. Whether you believe that or not, there's no question temperatures are rising, and Earth's climate is a finely balanced mechanism. Knock it out of alignment by just a small amount, and things can change frighteningly quick. Once change begins, it can be very hard to stop. It might already be too late to reverse the effects we're seeing on our weather, and the costs of those changes is already huge, economically, on wildlife, and human life. According to a recent report by the World Meteorological Organization, the number of extreme weather events has increased by a factor of 5 over just the last 50 years. Weather, climate, and water hazards accounted for 50% of all disasters and 45% of all reported deaths. An average of $202 million in damage was caused every day by weather events. Hurricane Harvey alone cost the U.S. an estimated $96.9 billion in economic losses. With extreme weather events likely to become even more common, that just might be a small taste of what could be in store for us all. Thanks for watching ElderFox. If you enjoyed this video, click here to see the next one. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to keep up to date with the latest discoveries.